Nothing beats homemade pizza, and I'm going to show you a recipe for slow fermented dough. This dough is a standout. You get a lovely texture and a lovely flavour. It's a very easy recipe to follow. So it all starts with really good quality flour, and whenever I'm making bread or pizzas, I use a high protein, strong flour just like this one. This will ensure we get that light, fluffy pizza inside and a crispy exterior. So you'll need 500 grams of bread and pizza flour. That goes straight into a mixer. You can, of course, do this by hand. It'll just take a little longer to knead. To this, I'm going to add my yeast. Now, this is 7 grams of instant yeast. You just get them in the sachets from all your supermarkets, and you can see how it's foamy. Now, it's foamy because I've added 50 mils of warm water, a pinch of sugar, and a pinch of flour. And you just need to let it sit in a warm space for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it's bubbly like this. This means that the yeast is active, so this is a great sign. So we can add this mixture to our flour, a pinch of salt, and some water. Now the water again needs to be warm, and that just allows that yeast to really get to work when it's warm. And then this needs to knead for about 5 minutes until we get a really sticky, elastic dough. All right, look at this dough. It's exactly what we want. So we'll take it out of the bowl. And I have a bowl here that I've oiled, so we'll just scoop out this sticky dough. And now it's time to put it to bed, as I like to say. So there are 2 options here. You can leave it out on the bench for 12 hours, or if you want an even slower ferment, pop it in the fridge overnight. It really makes a difference to the end result, because what happens is it allows the flour and the yeast to mingle at a slower rate, meaning we're going to get a beautiful crust on our pizza. So we'll just cover that up and it goes into the fridge. So here is a dough that I've made yesterday. Have a look how stunning it is. Look at these bubbles. See those bubbles? That is proof of a really good dough. So it is going to be sticky, so I like to have some extra flour on standby. And before I take it out, a good amount of flour on a surface, also on your hands too, just to make it easier. I'll also preheat a pan. And now we're just going to pour this dough out. Look at that. That's what you get when you slowly prove the dough. And it smells fantastic because of that yeast in there. Now, I don't want to overwork this at this stage, so just another little bit of flour over the top and just knead it a few more times. Okay, that's looking good. Now, I'm just going to add a little extra flour and then press it out into a large pizza. In fact, I always have just a little rolling pin. Totally not traditional. If I was a professional pizza maker, I wouldn't use a rolling pin, but I like to do this just so I can really stretch it out so it's the size of my pan. You can see how elastic this is. Now, I'm also going to add some flour to my pan. Now, you might be asking, why am I using a pan? Well, I want this to be super hot so we get that gorgeous crispy base on our pizza. So this is at a high heat. I'm going to add some flour to the base of it, turn it off, and we're going to add our pizza to our pan. Now that's already starting to seal off. I can actually smell it, and it's also sizzling. Fantastic. I'm going to make a little border just like this, a few little indents, and you can add any toppings you like. I'm keeping mine very simple, just so we can taste that gorgeous pizza dough. So a big spoonful of crushed tomatoes. We'll just spread that out. A pinch of salt and some olive oil. And we've got to have cheese on this pizza, so some mozzarella. This type of mozzarella is called fior di latte, and it's perfect for pizza toppings. So just crumble it over the top. And I know this is controversial, but I love anchovies on a pizza. So I've got some really good quality anchovies, and I'm going to add a few of them to my pizza. Of course, you can add any toppings you like. You could add some salami, some prosciutto at the end of it. I also like to add a hint of dried oregano, so a sprinkle of dried oregano over the top. And that now goes into the oven. So super hot, 240 degrees, and that's going to cook for another 4 to 5 minutes or until we've got a golden crisp crust. All right, the pizza is out of the oven. Listen to this. Crispy base, that's what we're after. So I'm just gonna take it out of the pan. Ooh. And let's have a look at this base. Look at that, golden and crispy. So when you are using a domestic oven, cooking your pizza in a pan like this is a fantastic tip. Now, it's all about that gorgeous crust. So let's cut into this. Oh, so crispy. And then we'll cut it in 4. And after slicing it, you could add some rocket or some basil. I happen to have some pecorino cheese, but you could also use Parmesan. And I just love extra cheese just over the top at the last minute. And as it hits that hot, hot pizza, it starts to melt. Nothing beats homemade pizza. And let's have a look at this. Perfect homemade pizza. Crispy on the base, like super crispy, fluffy in the center, and look at those toppings. Not too much toppings. Let's have a taste. That is a seriously good pizza. I just think it's one of the most rewarding things to do at home, making homemade pizza. It's always going to taste best. Give it a go.